this morning.
You get it.
Anybody else on the poem I Am Perfect by Alva Romanes?
Gorgeous.
It's very universal.
Yes. Very inclusive.
It makes me think of if I claim to be anything less than perfect as a child of God, that it's rather insulting to God, actually.
Yeah.
The good news is I think God's probably not all that easily insultable, but yeah.
I agree.
So maybe it's less insulting to God than it's insulting to God's love for us. But it's also just the base. It comes from a misunderstanding. What I read in this is the I that the author is reading. I was tempered with woe and weal, as ore dull and crude by the furnace subdued grows at last to the burnished steel. This I is not the individual me necessarily, it's the I am of the Christ that expresses in me and you and all of us. For the years cannot change or mar the immaculate man who was shaped in the plan that makes perfect all things that are. It's a beautiful introduction, I think, to what we're going to learn in this uh, lesson. So if there's nothing else, we'll move on to um, the lesson itself. Although it's not, I have to stop the share and restart it for some reason. So okay. Who would be willing to read? Let's start with 2, 3, and 4. Paragraphs 2, 3, and 4. Okay, I'll do it. What phase of creation is described in the first chapter of Genesis? All religions have their scriptures or sacred writings. In the Christian religion, we call these sacred writings the Bible. The Bible came out of religion, not religion out of the Bible. It is the product of religion, not the beginning of it. Man has ever been searching for the origin of himself, seeking to know why he is here and how he came to be here. In this search, some men have gone beyond the field of human knowledge and have sought information in the realm of ideas. All that is known as religion is the work of the imaging faculty of man working in the realm of ideas. No man has ever seen God with his physical eyes, nor has he ever seen a soul or a spirit. The imaging faculty reads the symbols which are everywhere evident and interprets them as the outpicturing of ideas. Our scriptures came out of the East and reflect the literary customs and habits of Eastern people who are accustomed to parables and allegory. Men have gone into this unlimited realm of ideas and have brought back with them wonderful revelations, mysterious thoughts, and in the expression of these thoughts, they have found it more convenient to use the symbology by means of which these ideas were communicated to them. From this, it is evident that it is not the words that are inspired, but the men who receive the ideas and put them into words. We have a couple of footnotes. Let's see. Footnote 1 says, addressing the fundamentalist, Charles Fillmore states that religion is a product of human study, not of divine revelation. Oh, my. And then the unlimited realm of ideas. Let's see. Addressing liberals, Charles Fillmore states that human study is of the spiritual world, not of human philosophy. Okay. Thoughts, reactions, questions to the beginning of this chapter?
I'm fascinated by the annotation in the one where it says addressing fundamentalists. Charles Fillmore states that religion is a product of human study, not of divine revelation. A lot of people would think the Bible is divine revelation. And I don't know how many fundamentalists would think that religion is a product of study, not revelation. What do you think he's talking about there? A little more to expand it because I'm not quite sure.
Anybody? Anybody willing to tackle Diane's great question?
I am always challenged by what fundamentalists think about things, which are usually in direct difference from my own beliefs.
Well, I'm wondering whether what Fillmore is pointing out is actually relatively obvious that if it's divine revelation, we still have to study it and have it a human interpretation of it.
Okay, divine revelation would be sourced at the Bible, right? And then work from studying out from the Bible.
Right.
Would that be logical?
Well, that's my question is the humans doesn't matter that it's divine revelation, it's still humans that interpret.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my thought. Anybody else?
Can you scroll down to the footnotes again?
I don't know, Della.
Because that's what part of what Diane was talking about.
Yeah, I was all in that first annotation.
Yeah. I have a religious niece who I want to send. I did a screen capture and want to send this to just to mix it up a little.
Sure. And so what does the word religion mean in this context?
You can go back up if you want, if you prefer.
So he says that the footnote says that religion is the result of human study.
Mm-hmm.
So what's religion? Too bad Gretchen isn't here. Others can go look up the revealing word or the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary if you want.
I think of Gretchen as our group scholar.
I know.
She has her references ready at hand for all of this.
How dare she not be here?
Exactly.
I think you can apply the word religion to a lot of situations. You have what would be called groupthink,
Yeah.
and whatever a group is thinking, that can essentially be a religion for them. So I think it could be an all-encompassing word being used in a lot of places.
I think you're onto something there, Belden.
Yeah.
Especially if we remember the etymology of the word religion, which comes from a Latin word meaning binding together.
Oh.
And so it is a group, it's a social activity, religion. It's an activity of human beings making a choice together to believe something, and that belief reinforces the togetherness of the group, something we all have in common, for example.
Well, we can point to a lot of examples going on throughout this country right now that would apply to the use of the word religion.
Yeah.
I think you could expand that from this country to the whole world.
Right. Right.
Yes.
I like the idea that this first paragraph, number 2, leaves room for other religions. instead of we are only here as a product of the Christian religion. Because some evangelicals may think that only.
Yeah, and it's true that people of every religion, there are people in every religion who think that their belief is the right one. That's just a human psychological orientation.
True.
Anything else?
Oh,
Yeah.
I reflect back, and I think of the Jews, and I recall you speaking one Sunday morning in Sacramento that that it was tribal, and their belief is certainly different than Christian, and that seems to me to apply to a lot of things for them. It's I think very interesting.
Can you say more? Can you say more?
Yeah. It talks about our scriptures came out of the East and reflect the literary customs and habits of Eastern people who were accustomed to parables and allegory. So there was religion just waiting to be influenced. The Hebrews, the Jews, and other ones really in the Middle East too. Jesus had to speak to them in stories in order for them to, quote, get it, unquote. And so religion was there before Jesus arrived. And then I guess he expanded it to the mission itself.
Well, yeah, thanks for that. I think if we really wanted to uh, delve into this in a more expansive way, we would note that human history, human archaeology suggests that human beings have believed in something greater than ourselves, going way back into the earliest days of antiquity.
Right.
And the cave paintings, for example, at Lascaux and other places that demonstrate human beings were already having conceptions, pictures of something besides us, something above us or beyond us. And many scholars suggest that that is a product of the human being self-awareness that included awareness that we were all going to die, which no other animal on Earth has to deal with. And knowing ahead of time that you're going to die raises questions that my dog doesn't worry about.
Wistfully.
And hence religion, or hence faith, and then religion.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
My sister, when she married a fellow that was Jewish, and they raised their children that way. He's long since passed away, but I find when my sister and I talk about things, uh, everything with her, it doesn't relate to the Jewish side of things. It relates to unity and her use of the prayers from unity, and it's interesting how that.
She was raised in them.
She was raised in unity, the and her son, I think, is beginning to lean more toward what we see as far as unity and those kinds of things. It's very interesting.
Sure. And if our friend Jackie Schultz were here, who was raised Jewish and is now studying to be a unity minister, she would have some interesting things to add to that, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's nothing else, let's move on. Who would read paragraph 5 and 6?
I'll do it.
Thank you.
In transmitting these messages to the world, it is necessary to use symbology. The intellect or reasoning mind, conscious phase of mind, in an enlightened state can comprehend only the relative.
That's unenlightened state.
You're exactly right. That would be important.
I know.
So when the men who received the revelations undertook to interpret them, they couched them in a language that would show to what they might be likened, to what they might relate. The transmitters of the message knew that those who were seers would catch the idea that was back of the symbol, while those who were not so enlightened might get another meaning, a meaning that would fit in with their degrees of knowledge, but truth would remain undefined. Is that undefined or undefiled?
I see
I'm sorry,
undefiled.
I can't get the words big enough to see them very well. 6. Our scriptures contain in symbols a most wonderful description of the creative action of divine mind. One who studies the Bible merely as a historical record or as an ethical guide fails to sound the depths of these ancient writings.
Okay, thank you. Let's look at footnote 3 here.
Oh, in an enlightened state, the reasoning mind can comprehend only the relative. The realm of ideas is whole, free from both time and space.
Okay, thanks, Gail. So what do we read in these two paragraphs? What strikes you?
Sneaky people they were.
Sneaky? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, what's sneaky?
Being able to have enlightenment and verbalize it or write it down in such a way that those who were more spiritual would get the symbology, but those who weren't wouldn't get the deep meaning of it, but still weren't offended. The truth wasn't offended.
Okay.
Go them.
Well, they say in the very second sentence here that the intellect or reasoning mind is basically an unenlightened state that can comprehend only the relative world. And as Gail read in the footnote, it's not designed to see the whole thing. And so we have to find ways to indicate something that our minds can't directly see or understand. That's the way I read that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sneaky only in the sense that I don't even know how it's sneaky. Actually, now that I think about it, it's more for me, it's 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 like there's really not a whole lot of choice. Because it says in transmitting these messages to the world, it was necessary to use symbology.
Right. I was thinking about the part where they couch them in a language to show what they might be like and what they might relate. But the transmitters knew that not everybody, only certain people would catch the idea.
Yeah, okay.
That was the sneaky part.
Yeah.
Clever.
Yeah, that works for me better. Clever. I mean, I have I don't know why I'm reacting to this, but I don't think of Jesus as sneaky, but I do think of him as clever. It doesn't mean he couldn't be sneaky, by the way. That's just me.
Well, I think it shows something about Jesus that no matter what it was he said, he couched it so that everybody would get something of a message from it, whether they were enlightened or unenlightened. Just
Okay.
just according to their own degree of consciousness.
Sure. That makes sense.
It's interesting that we have so many religions with sacred texts that have survived centuries or longer, that operate this way, that operate in story.
What do you conclude from that? I mean,
Um,
that's a powerful observation.
I think when I used the word universal earlier, I think it has to be general enough with enough meaning and meat that it can last for a long time. And if they were busy giving specific instructions, times would change and the instructions would no longer apply. So something
Okay.
has to be general enough to be interpreted for current times.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think a lot of people would have understood in Jesus' time about the allegories and the symbology. But I think the people of today would look to the same material from a point of scientific or science, because that's a different place that our society is in now compared to when Jesus was alive. We have a different way of looking at the world than 2,000 years ago. So we use modern language to understand the same ideas back then, but perhaps we look at it with a scientific mind. Now, am I putting that well? I'm not sure.
That makes sense to me. What I'm hearing you say is that the symbology that a culture uses changes as that culture changes.
Yes, but the message could still be pure and undefiled, as they say.
Well, it also may be the case that, well, I totally agree that we don't have any cultural awareness of what it might mean to have a story about a mustard seed or a story about a prodigal son or the Samaritan, the Good Samaritan, or all those stories that we're familiar with in the Bible. We just don't have the cultural resonance for how the people who heard them would have heard them. And at the same time, we can still learn from them.
Yes.
And I suspect it's because the underlying message is of universal resonance to human beings and not necessarily cultural beings.
Okay.
I mean, we may have to, like if you read the Bhagavad Gita or the Mahabharata and the Indian Hindu texts, you may actually have to do a little bit of study to appreciate the cultural context, but ultimately they're just human beings like we are.
Maybe we
And
just have different filters.
yeah, exactly. And those filters are not so strange from each other that we can't learn something about each other's filters.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, who will read 6 and 7?
We did read 6.
Okay, who will read 7 and 8?
I can read those.
Thank you.
Paul was a Hebrew and a scholar, learned in the scriptures, and he understood their allegorical character and value. Speaking of Abraham and his two sons, one born of a bondmaid and the other of a free woman, Paul says which things contain an allegory. He explains that these two sons are symbolic of two covenants. Then he opens up a teaching rich in spiritual import, which is entirely lost on one who reads the story of Abraham merely as a historical narrative. Read carefully the fourth chapter of Galatians and see the spiritual import or idea that is back of the story as told in the Old Testament. All Christians recognize in a measure that Bible history is something more than just history. They may see in the journey of the Israelites to the promised land a picture of man's progress from sense consciousness to spiritual consciousness, or, as sometimes expressed, from earth to heaven. It must, however, be kept in mind that the kingdom of God is within you. Luke 17:21. Maybe.
Thank you. Let's take a look at the what are we looking at here? 4 and 5. Footnotes 4 and 5.
Okay. Footnote 4. Then he opens up a teaching rich in spiritual import, free from time and space. The biblical story of Abraham becomes significant to modern people. And 5, man's progress from sense consciousness to spiritual consciousness, or, as sometimes expressed, from earth to heaven, an excellent summary of metaphysical eschatology. Is that how you say that?
Very well. Very good.
Okay.
Well, you don't get to use the word eschatology in a sentence that frequently, so good
No.
work, Christine. Thoughts? Thoughts about Paul and his recognition of the allegorical nature of this particular story or of stories in the Old Testament in general? I've always thought that this point here, all Christians recognize in a measure that the Bible history is something more than just history, is a real challenge even to unity students because the way the story is written, it seems so this happened and that happened. It seems so narrative driven that it's easy for me, I'll just speak for me. It's easy for me to put myself into the story and see it as a history, as something that literally happened. But when we're reading it metaphysically, that's not important. What's important is what the truth or the relationship of it to the development of consciousness, human beings' relationship to God, etc., truly is. And I guess it can be both at the same time. It can be both history and metaphysics. But I have to, I choose to, I don't have to, I choose to train myself when I'm reading a biblical story, particularly from the New Testament, to remember or to ask the question, what's the metaphysical interpretation of this story, as well as to just see it as something that happened.
Yeah, the metaphysical message is more important than the historical message.
And maybe without the historical message, we couldn't have the metaphysical message. I don't know. I don't, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not trying to case here, but
I find myself reflecting back to events that took place when I was growing up. And there were issues sometimes where my father would wind up just happenstance with somebody who was, uh, you might say, was a Bible pounding person. And this individual would spout something to my dad that was, the Bible says this. And my dad, who had read the Bible, I think, through at least twice, cover to cover, could go to another place in the Bible and say, well, yeah, that's true, but the Bible says thus and so. And it was interesting how no matter what they would come up with, he could always come back with something else out of the Bible that contradicted their point of view, which I think amplifies and illustrates what we're talking about here in terms of our people's understanding of the Bible.
Good point. Thank you.
I'm impressed that he was that well versed in the Bible.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were, that's what they had to read and what was important to them. Unfortunately, I think it's less likely that we're biblical historians today as some of our ancestors were.
Good point, Diane. People didn't have free cell to distract them
That's
60
right.
years ago. That all they had was stuff to read. And the Bible was, I think it still might be the biggest selling
Yeah, bestseller of all time.
book. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Who will read 9 and 10 for us?
Well, because all of you spoke up at once, I'll be happy to read 9 and 10.
Thanks, Diane.
Okay. We should seek to get back of the letter of the scriptures and to discern the spiritual meaning of every passage we consider. In symbology, in allegory, in parable was the word transmitted, and in like manner must be translated. The visions of the prophets were plainly allegorical. Jesus, throughout his ministry, taught in parables and allegories, reserving for his immediate followers the inner ideas or spirit of the teaching instead of just the letter of it. Number 10. If we study the first chapter of Genesis in the light of spirit, we find that it describes in symbol the creative action of the universal mind in the realm of ideas, and does not pertain to the manifest world any more than the inventor's idea pertains to the machine which he afterwards builds. Keeping in mind the trinity of mind, idea, and expression, we know that creation takes place in the realm of mind, and that we can understand the story of creation given in Genesis only by applying it to the realm in which it belongs.
Wow.
Wow.
Let's do 6 and 7, the
Okay.
footnotes.
Footnote 6, get back of the letter. Back of the letter, not back to the letter. Yes. Okay. And 7, applying it to the realm in which it belongs. The message, free of time and space, may then be applied to which it belongs.
Thanks, Diane.
Does that refer to like what the message is way back when in time and space? That even now today, we may, if we look at it metaphysically, may then be applied to which it belongs today.
Yeah, because that's free of time and space.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Okay, I think that these two paragraphs are pretty essential to the point the writer is making here, wants us to get. Especially this in number 10, he says, we find, this is with respect to the first chapter of Genesis, we find it describes in symbol the creative action of universal mind in the realm of ideas and does not pertain to the manifest world. And so there's I recognize this might be a difficult point to grasp, but it's probably worth wrestling with, which is to say, the the mind, the universal mind, the creative mind, had an idea that became the physical universe. But what's important is not so much the physical universe, but the mind and idea that created it in the first place. That there was no physical universe until there was an idea first of it. And that's something that we inherit as the children of this creative process. So we get an idea in mind. So he refers to, or the writer refers to the inventor has an idea for a machine, and the machine comes only because the inventor had the idea in the first place. And so this is important not just as a kind of general theological principle or metaphysical principle, but because it's practical. This is how I change my thoughts. This is how I change my world by changing my thoughts. Thoughts and ideas first, expression second. So it's this idea, mind, idea, expression
Mhm.
in that order.
I
That
also
makes
like,
that makes
go ahead.
sense?
Yes. I
That,
also like the idea that I could be struggling with something, and if I go more into divine mind, um, a solution might occur to me that wouldn't have come had I struggled to get there.
mhm. And I noticed what you said is I like the idea, which itself is an idea.
It's interesting in life to figure out when to let something evolve or when to attack it.
Yeah. And you can't do it wrong. I mean, there's no right or wrong way. There's just a more efficient way.
I find this quite illuminating, and for uh, from what I understand of what Genesis essentially says, and if I can remember correctly, it says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the or something to that nature," and in the very beginning, that leads you to believe that all of the universe and the stars and this incredible universe that we have is what God created. And but what this is essentially saying is something completely different. So they're using the the idea that God created all these things, but you have all the which I refer to as Bible pounders. They use Genesis as an all-encompassing chapter to define a whole lot of things that are totally different than this.
Mm. Mm.
Okay. Thoughts? Comments?
That one. Mm.
I just get a kick, Veldon, when you use the term Bible pounder.
That's a different era.
Uh,
Well, I I have I have worked with some folks like that, and when I was there in Sacramento with the Salem Media Group, one of the people who's Salem is has some very religious
Christian
programming,
Christian program.
Christian programming, and this gal's job was to implement that, and she was very quick to point out various things in the Bible, and it was quite annoying, her point of view.
I think you might equate Bible pounders to fundamentalists.
Yeah.
so what would you call metaphysical Bible pounders?
Metaphysical Christians.
Yeah.
Mark Hicks wrote a whole book on that.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
It is.
All right, so let's see if we can get through. We have 10 minutes. Let's see if we can get through 11 and 12 and finish this section today. Who would read 11 and 12 for us?
I will.
Thank you very much.
All creation starts first with an idea. The idea is in divine mind. The idea begins to press out or express itself in mind. That is, it begins its development by drawing to itself from the mind substance thoughts that assist it in its growth toward its own completion or fulfillment in mind. The final step will be manifestation, as mentioned in the second paragraph below. The 6 days of creation described in the first chapter of Genesis represent 6 great ideal projections from divine mind, 6 steps that are necessary in the working out in mind of any ideal. The starting point is like a seed, and this seed idea must unfold in all its details in mind, in much the same way as the details of his plan unfold in the inventor or architect's mind before he makes the drawing or blueprint. The assembling together of these ideal projections is climaxed in the creation of ideal man. This ideal man is created in the image and after the likeness of God, and he is the Lord of creation. To him is given dominion over every created thing. Dominion belongs to every man, but only he exercises it properly, who understands himself to be essentially this ideal man. So man is to take dominion and have authority over all the ideas that are included in his own divine nature. Ideal man, the image of God, God's idea of himself. Man's dominion begins in the realm of ideas, and through inspiration from his source, divine mind, he is to familiarize himself with and learn the character and nature of all the ideas that make up the nature of God, which is his own true nature.
Wow.
A mouthful.
These ideal projections is climaxed in the creation of ideal man. This lesson shifts from scripture to anthropology.
And there's also number 8, if you would.
To press out or express itself in mind. Expression occurs in mind. Manifestation occurs in the relative world.
Thank you, Della.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, that was a mouthful.
Well, on the 7th day, he rested.
He needed to.
These 2 paragraphs, I think, contain basically all of Unity's understanding of creation. Like, we read all this stuff, but we really only needed to read these 2. All creation starts with an idea. So what I was thinking is this poem started with an idea. And I don't know what the idea was. I have a guess based on the expression, based on what ended up on the page of what she was inspired to express. But it started as an idea. It didn't start as this particular collection of words. The collection of words came out of the idea. So this is true of all of us. We got up this morning and we had ideas, and the ideas show up. Where do they come from? I still have been unable to detect the source of ideas that show up in my consciousness, which is what is said in one of the earlier paragraphs, is we can't know these things at least in the realm of, as I call it here, the relative world. And yet there they are, ideas. Ideas come all the time. They never stop. There's this endless fountain of ideas. As long as we're conscious, ideas continue to show up, and then we get to choose whether we want to express them as something specific, something concrete. Like I had the idea this morning that I would make a cup of coffee. I had the idea before I had the coffee. And it's so simple. It can be little simple things like that. as well as great, powerful ideas about creation itself. Thoughts, comments, disagreements, examples from your own lives?
I'm going to make a comment that won't exactly fit, but it's interesting.
Go for it.
I think it's tempting to have an idea and believe it's the only possibility and act on it.
Okay.
And so like Veldon is talking about Bible thumpers, they and we too, we read something and we think, well, that's what that means. Um, and in a different perspective entirely, I own a graphic design business, and my partner of many years went to Art Center, and one of the teachers taught him about coming up with design ideas is you don't just stick one ladder against the wall and keep climbing the ladder, because sometimes you miss something that's really important. And if you keep investing in going up one ladder too early, you get stuck with a bad mishmash. So part of their teachings of design is to put lots of ladders against the wall so that you have places to go and ways to get into the situation. And I like the idea in this case that if you wake up and you have an idea, maybe in a solution to a problem, you don't take it on whole yet. You let it breathe a little.
Sure.
Well, I would like to point out that with an idea comes wisdom. And if you look at Marty's idea, he had a thought about coffee. Well, the wisdom that behind that thought was that he he wanted coffee, and he knew that he needed to make it. So the wisdom is associated with the association of just coffee, and it's a very small thing. This also gets back to what you're talking about, is climbing up on the ladder. The wisdom is knowing what the situation is and what to do about it. And so as you're on the ladder, doing whatever it is you're doing, you understand certain things that uh, direct you in the right direction, because wisdom plays a part in all of that.
And experience helps with wisdom.
Can show you what works and what doesn't.
Until someday when you have a heart problem and you can't have coffee anymore. Then you need wisdom to figure out your other next warm beverage.
No more coffee for Marty.
And then a new idea comes
Uh-huh.
and leads to a new expression. Any other thoughts about this powerful insight of our Unity founders?
I will say as a cap to my comments about Bible pounders, I have grown up with unity, and what unity is really what I believe religiously. And anybody that comes up with different views is a contrast to me, and sometimes quite annoying.
You're easily annoyed.
Yes, and would you be willing to consider everybody who annoys me is my potential teacher?
Rarely.
It's an idea. All right, my friends, we've come to the end of our time together. And any last minute thoughts before we wrap up? Well, as always, I
Marty,
want to,
can I
yeah,
ask real quick, Marty, the name of that poem, was that called I'm Perfect, or the title of
yes,
that poem?
yes, I think so.
Okay.
Um, I am perfect, yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
It's a wonderful poem.
So just a reminder for those of you who don't pay any attention to the email I send out every Saturday. It has a link to the text, so if you don't have the text handy and you want to copy that poem, just go to the email and click on the link, and it will take you to today's lesson, and then you can do a cut and paste or whatever you want to do. Okay, thanks again. Thanks everybody for being part of my spiritual journey. I couldn't do it without you, and I'm grateful for your presence.
And
And
Marty, what did Mark Hicks send out in the last week or two that your picture was on it?
Yeah, his weekly message.
yes, so you can read my message in that email that he sent out. This was a comment on what we're reading in the Tuesday group, which this group is 2 lessons behind the Tuesday group.
Cool. I will go
So,
read it.
so yeah. So Marcus started soliciting commentary from the group, and so like a hungry fish, I rose to the bait.
No, you do it very well.
Thank you. All right, let's close out then today with our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. See you next
Marty, can I
week.
chat with you for a second? Marty,
Yes,
can I chat?
yes, yes, indeed.
I have yet to get either tapes or your tape recorder back from M. And I've finally emailed Catherine and asked if she would help
Right?
get stuff. I found another person who with the second batch of tapes that I had scanned at Scan Cafe and got digital files back, who has taken the digital files, edited down to the main lesson, and also run kind of an audio cleaning session.
Wow.
It's like, yes, and he sent me a sample of each.
Right?
And it was, it's $13 a piece or $20 a piece. $20 a piece for the good one. It's like, yes, that. So he texted me last week to say he's done with whatever he was doing. So I'm going to coordinate with him to find the
Oops.
files in a Google Drive or somewhere and
Right?
hook them up to you so you can get them to your guy to post on the YouTube channel.
Okay.
So that's batch number 2. Batch number 1, I'm still working on, and I don't know what M did. I'm sure M didn't do any cleanup. But I haven't gotten anything from M. So I'm thinking, well, now that I have a good resource, I'm just going to try and get the tapes and the tape player
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
We need the tapes to link the file and the tape name. Anyway, that's kind of a status report, but somehow in the next week or two, batch number 2 is going to come to you to upload.
Okay. Awesome. Well, and I have a couple things for you. So I got a hold of this, which is the last Best is Yet to Be broadcast
Uh-huh.
on
Okay.
VHS.
Yeah.
Is that something this gentleman could convert?
He can't convert it, but I can send it to Scan Cafe
Okay.
and they can convert it.
Okay. So I need to get this to you. Also because the archivist at Unity Village wants this. So it wouldn't just be for us. We would I would do the conversion, and I'll find out if they want to keep this medium.
Uh-huh.
But hey, and then the other question I had for you. So I need to get this to you physically.
Right.
Okay. Um, so did you move your office?
Yeah, it used to be near 19th and T,
Right.
and now it's near 20th and V.
Okay. Could you send me the address?
Yes, and it's
And
a
then I can
building.
because I could just drop it off. Yes, when I'm
No.
downtown. No?
No, but you could drop it off at my house, which is in East Sacramento by Mercy Hospital.
Okay, so if you send me that address, then Next time I'm out in that direction, I'll do that.
And then I never saw a reply from Catherine about a good lunch date, but we could also make a handoff at lunch.
Well, true, because that's just coming up, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
17th, right? Okay, I'll do that. Duh. I have another question, which is if you remember, um, after the service for Phil, you wrote me a check for 300 bucks because I had paid for the conversion of the recording and all that stuff. And I found that check laying around. I don't think I ever cashed it.
Okay.
Is it cashable still? Do you think?
I think it's usually 6 months, so probably
Okay.
not.
Well, no, it was
Um,
February, so it's this month, I think.
where do you bank?
Golden One.
You might walk in with a check and see what they say.
Okay.
And if they say no way, then just let me know and
Okay.
I'll have Meredith write a new check and we can do an exchange at lunch.
Okay. That's like, oh my God, look at this. So, okay. Thank you.
Um, okay. I think I'm gonna send Meredith and you an email to say Marty hasn't cashed this check yet, and we may end up writing a new one, just so I don't have to remember only me.
Right. Or
And then
maybe just be easier for her to have her to write a new one and not worry about it.
okay, that sounds
And
fine.
I'll just rip this one up.
Okay. And I
Okay.
think she, because we've had no activity, she hasn't really reconciled accounts every month like she used to. But she did say we're paying $30 a month for this stupid checking account. Like, so we really want to close up this year, and I've said that to M several times, and and sending it, I'll pay you money for the fill service. And anyway, enough bitching about M.
Well, it's not good.
Yeah, it's not, and
It's
I'm
not, I'm sorry. I don't care who it is. It's not responsible. And what are you going to do?
right. So my goal is to get the tapes and the tape recorder back because then
Right.
I am in possession of whatever I need, and
Right.
I may then have Meredith write M a check and say thank you.
Right. Yeah, that's a solution.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Well, I'll see you on the 17th.
Yes, I did. I guess we didn't have confirmation, but from Catherine, but you and
Or
Claudia and I
Sydney.
can.
Did Sydney say aye? I didn't see
Was
anything from
Sydney,
her either.
was she in on that email?
I don't know. I don't know
I'll
if
find
she
the email. I'll
if
find the
she
email.
wasn't, she should have been.
Yeah, I'll find it and I'll reply all and make sure Sydney's in there and
Okay.
say, Marty and I are pitching the 17th.
And Claudia.
And Claudia, of course,
Right.
who started
Okay.
this all. All right.
Right.
Thank you.
Exactly. All right. Good. Thank you very
Take care.
much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
We'll see you next time.
Okay. Bye.